Hey, my hair's all a mess, and I just got off the phone with my daughter who has a very sick family, and so anyway, here we are. It's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and where else would I be but here with you? TJ Stutz here. Hey, Caroline, with Little Hearts Academy and Imperfect Heroes podcast, and oh, that's pretty cool. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I am excited because, last week I talked about that we have a new website for the podcast, and that's www.imperfectheroespodcast.com. Hey, Caroline. And I also, now we've updated the Little Hearts Academy website. And so it's still www.littleheartsacademyusa.com. But it's got an updated look. It's easier to navigate. You can find our past episodes. You can register for one-on-one coaching. You can register for group coaching. We've got some songs and stories up there called The Playground. We have an art room. It's called the Art Room. That is coming soon, and that's going to have things for parents to do with their kids. So the playground is something for kids where they can hear stories and sing songs. And I know I'm so excited. Caroline says, that's awesome. You're doing great. And I'm so excited. It's all coming together now. And so that's pretty cool. The art room is going to be just for grown-ups to see maybe different crafts or activities that they can do. And there's also some free downloadable things like how to get the most out of your parent-teacher conference. Those are going to be coming up in probably March is around when most schools do those parent-teacher conferences. And so that's free. You definitely want to download that. It talks about how to get the most out of that conversation. What is some of the information that teachers are looking for from you, and what are some questions that are meaningful for you to ask from your teacher? And so that's a great thing. We'll have some stuff coming up for the summer about travel guides and those kind of things. And we've got even more things in development. So hurrah! That's all kind of cool. I'm really excited. I've got recordings of conversations all the way through the end of January. So we've got things going on there. More people are listening. And so all of that is very exciting and very good. And so speaking about episodes, the episode that dropped on Monday, yesterday, is one with Dr. Christine Lee. And she's actually a procrastination specialist, if you can imagine that. And so it's amazing that she actually has the #1 blog in the world on procrastination. And so that's pretty cool. She is actually a clinical psychologist, and she's just so kind and so nice. And I am so grateful that I was able to find her. I found her actually, podcasters tend to network and talk to one another about different resources and stuff. And I found her through one of my podcaster websites that I go to, as we talk. And she is just amazing. And so if you're thinking about maybe making some New Year's resolutions, we make New Year's resolutions all the time, right? Every year we come up with some kind of thing. And most of the time we don't achieve those. Sometimes we do, and some people are better at achieving it than others. And so our conversation was about those resolutions and those goals that we set. And then what are some of the things that just kind of get in the way of being able to complete those? And it was interesting because at one point I was saying, well, are we making the right goals? And how often do we make a goal and it's just really not the right time for that goal. And it was interesting, her response, as she talked about, there's a reason though that we make those goals. And so if that's big on our mind, then that's probably a goal we should be working on. And there's a reason that it came to our mind at the point that it did. And so then the thing is, how are we going to get there? And I know that when you've got kids, life can get in the way. You know, it becomes getting them to soccer practice and getting their homework done. And, you know, then you've got your own work responsibilities and, you know, your relationship responsibilities, and you want to keep the house clean. And especially with, you know, all of the gomboos that are going around and the COVID variants and stuff that are going around, all of that can get in the way. And so it's so important to really sit down and figure out, there's a reason that I feel like I need this goal. And so how can I make it happen? How can I set aside time to work on that? And there's a ton of things that you can actually do that can help you. And one of the things is you can even get your kids involved in you achieving the goal. So if it's to get out more and maybe do some running or whatever, throw your kid on a bike and you're going to run next to them, right? There's a way to figure that out. Let them get on their little scooters. If they're older, maybe they want to run with you. If you're big like me and old, they can probably outrun you for a long way. And so when you engage them and have them be part of it, and have them be part of the celebrations as you meet various milestones, that can really help. Another thing is maybe you have an education goal and you want to take a class or two just to kind of help yourself get going and get on. So one of the things that you can do is you sit down and do homework when your kids sit down and do homework, right? And so they see you doing homework and they're doing homework, and you're all doing it together, and that way you can engage yourself with your kids, and it's an amazing thing that can happen, right? And so there are some really cool things that can go on. It's funny that I went I went to the doctor a couple of weeks ago about some other just little health issues, you know, and it was really cute that she brought up, oh, I see you tried this a little while ago and it seemed to help you with your weight loss. Why don't we try that again? And so I'm like, yeah, I think we should do that. And but it was fun that she said, because it was literally just a couple of weeks ago, and she said, let's wait a couple of weeks though until the holidays are over, because I want you to have the best chance for success. And it wasn't like I was putting it off for a few years, right? I was just putting it off for this short holiday season to have the best chance of success. And so with her help, hopefully you'll see a few changes this coming year. But with her help and with my determination, and I've talked to my sweet husband, and so we're going to work on it together. And so now I've got a network and I've got a team that's there to help me succeed. So whatever your goal is, whether it's weight loss or whether it's getting in better shape, eating better, maybe it's a goal of, I don't want to yell at my kids so much. That can be a tough thing, because your voice is always there, and sometimes you're yelling before you even realize you're yelling, right? The nice thing is that when you're working on any goal, really any goal, you're going to have setbacks. And that's okay. That's part of life. That's part of the human experience. And so when you are raising your voice, all of a sudden you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I'm yelling. I've done that actually before. And I've surprised myself because I didn't realize that I was yelling. I was using this great big voice when I really didn't need to. But my emotions were high, my opinions were strong, and it just got bigger. And the more that I could just catch myself with that big voice, yeah, Caroline says she's done that too. I think we all have, actually. It's just kind of part of being a parent sometimes. Excuse me. But as soon as you realize, dang, I'm yelling, take a breath, right? And you might even say to your kid, oh, I'm yelling. When did that start? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice to you. We should talk like civilized human beings, shouldn't we? And when you talk to your kids like that and let them know that, oh, you can make mistakes and you can catch yourself and then correct it, it's all great, isn't it? And they have a chance to see you in that process. And that's so important for us to let our kids see us, have a goal, share that goal. And even probably around 4 is where you can start sharing some of your goals in simple ways. And as your kids get older, you can share it in more meaningful ways. And so let's take that education goal, right? So you can sit down with the kids and say, you know what? I want to have a better education. I want to get smarter and to enlarge my world and increase my knowledge. And this is what I think I need to do that. And, you know, when your kids are in school and they see you valuing education and working to benefit that, or to benefit them, to benefit your life, and how are you going to use that education to benefit others, right? And so and I don't care if it's an online course or if you're actually going back to college, if you're going to go to some kind of a trade school, whatever you're going to do, it doesn't have to be that formal as, you know, a university class. There are lots of ways to gain education and to gain knowledge. And for your kids to see you using that process, that lets them see that that's available to them as well. And so it's just kind of an exciting thing. What are some of the things that get in the way? And honestly, real life things get in the way. Somebody gets sick. Somebody's car breaks down. Your mom gets sick, or your sister needs some help, or your child breaks their leg or their arm or whatever. And so you might have to pull back for a little bit, but recognize, just as my doctor recognized, that, you know, it's just a short-term hold back so that you continue to work on that goal, you continue to think about that goal, and then you work your way back into it as quickly as you can. And when you show that kind of determination, that helps you make that goal complete. I hope that makes sense to everyone. So, you know, I have such great admiration for people who are super busy and doing so much, and yet they still manage to make their goals. And in fact, if you look back on some of my past episodes, when you go to the podcast website, so again, that's www.imperfectheroespodcast.com. You'll be able to scroll down and you will see there's one, I think it's within the first 10 episodes, but it's about working on your education while you have kids. And I'm interviewing Dr. Erin Benyon, who is currently the chair of the nursing department at the university where she works. And when she got married, she had an associate's in nursing, but it's, you know, kind of a low-level nursing job. You're doing a lot of grunt work. You're working a lot of hours for not much pay, honestly. And she decided that she wanted something more for herself and for her family. And so as she was working on this goal, there were times when she was taking her college classes that she needed. She was working at one point 3 different jobs, raising kids, and yet she still found time to get to the gym and work out every day. And that was her kind of zen, I guess, that helped her to get through. That was the time that she needed to strengthen her mind. She got the blood going. She was getting oxygen to her brain. Her stamina increased. And so she was able to go and do that. And while her kids were her kids were in school, and then she would come home and get some homework done. I don't know how she did it, honestly, but she was determined. And if you listen to that episode, you're really going to get a feel of how a regular, everyday, imperfect hero managed to accomplish something. So that's a great episode if you're looking at how exactly do I do this. Christine Lee is just so knowledgeable, and we had such a great conversation. And at the end of the interview, I asked her the same question I ask all of my guests. How would you define a successful parent? And her answer was just amazing. But she said one thing that really stuck with me. She said that part of being a successful parent is a parent who understands that their role as a parent is a gift. It is not an obligation. It is not, something that you have to do. It's a gift for you and for your kids, but it is a gift for you as well. And the way she described it was just so phenomenal. I just loved it. And so I hope you'll go to the episode. Like I said, it's fresh. It's brand new. It just dropped yesterday. And listen to it, and listen all the way to the end. And listen to that part of it. Actually, those answers to that question are my favorite part of my podcast, is listening to how varied these answers are, and how so many people have different ideas, but awesome ideas on how you can be that successful parent. And so that's something that's pretty cool, isn't it? So as we work to look at our goals, we want to make sure that they are clearly defined, that we can reach a success point in that goal. So for me, if I'm looking at, say, just losing weight, I've got a goal that I need to get to, right? If I'm looking at running and becoming a better runner, I've got a goal, whether it's to run a 10K or to run a marathon. There's some way to reach that. And then another piece that you really want to consider is, how am I going to mark my progress in how I'm going to achieve that goal? And it's a lot like, to me, it's a lot like as we raise our kids, we tend to, we say we have a child that has a temper tantrum 10 times a day, right? They're just constantly mad and angry. And so you start working on a few things, and it's so easy to get caught up with, oh, it's another tantrum. Oh, it's another tantrum. What on earth is going on? I'm not succeeding. But really take time to number them. Oh, wait, we only had 8 temper tantrums today, and our average is 10. So we're making progress. We're doing better. I think that so often we get caught up in what's going wrong, what we don't have, what we wish we knew, but we don't understand yet. Those things, it's so easy to get caught up in the lack in our lives that we forget to take time to really consider and document even the blessings, the abundance that is around us. And we all have abundance. If we have a roof over our head, if our kids ate, if we ate today, that's abundance. If we had a way to get to a job, not only did we have a travel experience that day, we had a job to go to. If it's a job that we don't particularly like, there's a place to set goals. And isn't it exciting to have goals to set? Perfection not only isn't possible in anything really, but it's, once you reach it, perfection, what are you going to do? There's no room for growth. And human beings need that challenge. We need that opportunity for growth and for learning and expanding. And all of that is the challenge that makes us human, that makes us better people. And so when we're looking at our kids and we might have a goal about whether it's not yelling at them so much or whether it's building that stronger relationship with them. Gosh, I don't get along with my kids as well as I'd like to. And we're always fighting, right? Then stop and think about the good times instead of the hard times. And every day I would write down, this is what Susie did today. That was awesome. And this is what Joey did today. That was fun and awesome. And if you can't think of something that they did well, you're not looking hard enough. They ate all their dinner. They did not leave the house naked. And that was actually a goal for me with my youngest son, Christian, when he was a little guy. He's about 2 years old. Didn't appreciate clothes. And he was so smart. We had a deadbolt. He figured out that. We put a chain up on top, and heaven forbid I should be back cleaning the bathrooms or doing something. He knew how to push a chair, and he could reach up and get out. And he'd be out front just stitch starch naked, and I'd get a call, oh, he's out. Okay, I'll go get him, right? And so even leaving the house with clothes on was actually a goal in our family for one of my kids. What a goofball. But what are the things that your child does well? Maybe you heard them singing in their room and they were singing a song and it was beautiful. And you loved listening to that. Maybe you overheard them talking to another sibling or they helped a sibling in a kind way. And they may not do that all day long, but they did it in that moment. And you want to take that moment and notice it. And if you write it down or make I was looking for my cell phone. If you make like a note to yourself, a text to yourself, and so that you don't forget that moment, that's going to mean a lot. And it's going to change the way that you look at your kids. It's going to change the way that you look at your spouse. It will change the way that you look at your students if you're a teacher. It changes the way that you look at your neighbor and whatever it is that's going on. Now, I will tell you that in 2 weeks, next week, I have an amazing imperfect hero that we had this wonderful conversation about international adoption. And she adopted a little girl out of China. And she shares her story. And I love it. She did a great job. So much energy, this one. Her name is Hillary Ablisser. And she's great. The week after Hillary, I had a conversation. In fact, we're editing it currently. And Maya and Malkin from Israel. Isn't technology amazing that I could do an interview with someone literally on the other side of the world? And he has an app that helps you work with your children over arguments and how to solve them and how to develop their social emotional skills. And he takes his story about how he had a horrible relationship with his father for most of his life, and it came to a head when he was 30, and they had a horrible argument, and they walked away from each other and didn't speak to one another for over a year. And then it talks about his journey that he went from where he couldn't even look at his father, and they couldn't look at each other. They both had these awful feelings toward one another, and how with this program that he's developing, it's almost ready for his app to be launched, and he's since brought in, specialists and therapists and all of this to help him develop this. But he goes from where he can't even stand his father to where now his father helped him get into buy an apartment in Israel for his family, and how he is a true grandfather to his children, and they get along. And when things start getting tense, now they know what to do because they worked through it and they know the process. And think about if we could teach not only ourselves, we need to know this, but if we could teach our children the process of working through controversy, working through bad feelings, making assumptions about what the other is feeling, if we can teach them that skill, imagine what their lives will be like. It's amazing. And so that's an amazing goal that you could set for your family, for yourself, and move forward with that. So I hope that you listen. And then too, I would really love for you to go to our updated website, www.littleheartsacademyusa.com, and let me know what you think of the new look. Is it easy to negotiate? Does it have things that you're interested in? If there's something that you were interested in and you couldn't find it, let me know and we'll get something going for that. It's a chance you can sign up for our one-on-one coaching. You can sign up for our group coaching there. And there's a link actually at the top of it. There's a link that takes you directly to the podcast. And so it's kind of all in one. I would love it if you could listen to the podcast and leave a rating and review. If you go to the podcast website, there's a thing that you can click on that just says leave a review, and it makes it so easy for you to do that. And I'll tell you that not only when you take the time to leave a review, does it help me to know how I'm meeting everyone's needs and that what I'm doing is meaningful to you, but it also helps other people find us so that we can reach more people. And there are, what were they saying, like 200 million podcast listeners, and but how many of them actually leave a review? And so it's easy to do. It only takes a minute or two, but it really truly does help with us as we try to reach more people, expand our horizons, and help parents understand the stages of growth in their children and how their children develop emotionally and spiritually and physically and academically. We talk about all of those things in our coaching, whether it's private one-on-one or whether it's a group. We help with all of those things in our coaching. And we hope that we're hitting all of those as we choose our podcast topics, that we're helping parents find that broad whole child spectrum, so that when you're looking at your child, you're not just looking at their academics, or you're not just looking at, are they going to be a good athlete, or are they growing socially and emotionally. Although I will tell you, those two will lead to their success in many, many other areas. And so we talk about that a lot. And so our goal is to make it an easy place for parents to reach out, to listen, to maybe get an idea and say, oh, maybe I'll try that. Or maybe they're listening like, I don't think that would fit my family well. But throughout the podcast, you might, even if you just get one thing that you're willing to try or willing to think about that might help your life, isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth it to spend that time? I think about how much time we spend as parents, getting after our kids, arguing with our kids, get ready for school. What do you mean you don't have your homework, right? All of those things that go on. And the time that we spend on that is really not productive, really doesn't help our relationship with our children. And what if we could take just that little bit of time, and it's not even an hour. Some of my episodes are only like a half an hour. They're anywhere between a half an hour to an hour, depending on the guest. But isn't it worth taking just that amount of time once a week to learn how to avoid wasting time on negative impact things that are in your life, that are in your children's life, that are going to help them grow and mature into being confident, moral, and independent people? I think it's worth it, but that's me. So anyway, I hope you'll go to those websites. On Little Hearts on the new website, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, that's where you can sign up for our newsletter. And we'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the podcast. We send out tips and ideas for upcoming days that are coming up, like maybe spring break, things that you can do, or things that you can do for Valentine's that are meaningful to our kids and not just throwing stuff at them, much like we just went through with Christmas, right? What are some of the things that are truly meaningful to our families rather than just stuff? And so we'll be talking about a lot of those things as we go. And so I hope you'll sign up for the newsletter. I hope you listen to the podcast, and then consider maybe spending some time with a coach and seeing what are some things. Let me problem solve this with you. Here's what's going on, and then we can ask some questions, help you maybe come up with solutions that are going to be specific. Hi, Raylene. That are going to be specific to your family and what they can grow and learn, and how you can support them with that. So anyway, I hope for all of those things. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I hope that you find health and happiness and peace in your heart. Even when there may be chaos around you, you can still find peace in your heart if you're willing to look. I believe that with all my heart. So until next week, let's find joy in parenting. Bye, guys.